Super Rugby round number 12, folks. It is the culture round, which will feature various forms of culture on display, be it art, music, dance, dress, etc. Some of the teams will be rocking some kind of alternate jerseys as well as we sort out who will make the top 8. We'll go through the lineups for round 12, some stats and whatnot, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how things are going to go. First game of the two Friday games sees Moana Pacifica taking on the Chiefs. Moana Pacifica coming off a pretty brutal loss at home, when I say at home, in Tonga, in the wet to the Highlanders. They're back at Mount Smart for this one up against the Chiefs. And boy, have they changed the lineup a lot. They've got changes in the entire front row with Latu, Malolo and Asamoah getting starts this week. None of them started last week, and Malolo will captain the side from the hooker position. Same locks as last week, but then Whailangi, Motunga come into the back row alongside Halo and Liuia in the 9-10 jerseys. So changes all round, changes in the midfield with Lalo Milo getting his Super Rugby debut for Moana Pacifica. Patafilo is at number 13. Wong's back in on the right wing. Tawala's up from the bench to fullback. It is wholesale changes. They talked about opportunities and rest basically in their kind of press release, did the Moana Pacifica guys. So yes, there's a whole lot of new combinations on display. We will see if they are able to gel quickly. The Chiefs, less so in the way of changes. Some consistency, like Daniel Rona, who scored 3 tries last week, is still there on the left wing, where he was having a pretty good time with things, especially with Tupaia and ALB kind of holding down those midfield positions. Josh Jacob gets his first start at 10 since he played that game against the Crusaders down in Christchurch, where the Chiefs lost that one. So a chance for him to get a win from the number 10 jersey potentially. Ruben O'Neill and Tokiaho also in the front row get starts this week, and Luke Jacobson is back starting. He captains the side from number 8, plus a bunch of changes on the bench as well for the Chiefs. So coming off that massive win over the Force, one would think the Chiefs kind of big-time favourites for that one. Second game of the Friday, two very evenly matched sides, and the Reds and the Rebels, both the same record in terms of wins and losses, but differences in momentum. Reds getting that away win over the Crusaders for the first time since 1999. The momentum is with them, whereas the Rebels are coming off a couple of losses to the Crusaders and also to the Blues. So they'll be looking to kind of rectify things and get themselves as high on the log as they can as well. The Reds, more minimal changes with Whangase getting a start this week at loose head. The rest of the forward pack is the same. Top line-out man Liam Wright continues on at number 6. He is co-captain. In the back line there is that man Tim Ryan, who scored 5 tries in the last 2 rounds there on the right wing. He is certainly a man to watch, but otherwise the team is unchanged from the team that won last week. There are a few changes on the bench though, with the returns of Tate McDermott and the veteran James O'Connor back in the side for this one. For the Rebels, they have made a few changes, most of them on the bench, but Dalgunu switching back to the midfield for this one. He's been on the wing as of last week. Just is getting a start at 12 this week after being on the bench, but the front row, the second row, and the back row are all the same. So that is at least a bit of consistency. Rob Leota still captain side from number 8. Danger Man, Andrew Callaway still there at 15. And a few changes on the bench with Vaihu coming in, Elof coming in, and Murphy coming in as kind of replacements. Saturday games, you got the Blues taking on the Hurricanes, which for me is the game of the round, not just because I'm a Blues fan, because you got number 1 Hurricanes travelling to number 2 Blues. The Blues have only been beaten by one team thus far this season, and that was the Hurricanes down in Wellington. The Hurricanes haven't played any of the top teams away. Well, they have. They played the Brumbies and they lost to them. They haven't played the Blues yet away. That's this weekend. And they haven't played the Chiefs yet away. So the Hurricanes have still got that kind of title credential proving challenge for them to kind of really lay down a marker. And they've been bloody good all season. So they'll certainly give it a heck of a go. It seems like it could be a really fascinating game for the Blues. Renata gets a start at tight head this week. Ikeda Ioane is back after the birth of his child, so congratulations to him. He's back at number 6. And with Rico Ioane being out, Bryce Heem is promoted from the bench to number 12, and AJ Lamb switches to 13. And also, Zahn Sullivan returns at fullback after missing a few games with a knee injury. Mark Talea has had 10 clean breaks this season, which is first equal. He's on the right wing. Guess who he's equal with? Josh Morby, who's on the right wing for the Hurricanes. So it'll be interesting to see which guy can get himself into a mid-ball space. For the Canes, they have kept things mostly stable with the promotion of a few big gun players. Geordie Barrett is back in the starting lineup. Captain Brad Shields is back in the number 6 jersey. Xavier Numia is back in at loose head, and TJ Perenara is back starting after riding the pine last week. Also, Kenny Naholo returns to the 15 for this one for the Canes. So, yeah, man, that one seems like some real interesting viewing. Just first against second is always going to be a real fascinating one to watch. Now, in the meantime, if you're driving or something, you want some rugby content to listen to, you would be advised to check out the All Blacks podcast. It is on NZR Plus. I'll put a link to that down in the description. It's got all kinds of other rugby content as well, but they've got the All Blacks podcast down there. They've had a few notable guests on. They've had some Seven stuff recently. They've had Brad Weber on in the past. They've had Jeff Wilson on, so a whole bunch of guests, which is a good one. I like to do it when I'm driving. That's when I listen to podcasts, but hey, that's just me. The rest of the Saturday games, we got the first one from the South Island, first and only one from the South Island, which is the Highlanders taking on the Crusaders. Interesting one in that both teams need wins pretty bad. The Highlanders are in the playoffs at the moment in 7th, but the Crusaders are only just outside the playoffs. They're 4 points behind the Drua, who are in 8th. So the Highlanders got that crucial win over a playoff rival, Moana Pacifica, who are in 9th. So they won't want to be giving any points to the Crusaders, who are just outside the playoffs at the moment. They've still got Billy Harmon recovering, Reece Patchell recovering, so there are a few changes to the lineup. Jermaine Ainsley is promoted to tight head this week from the bench, and Ethan de Groot captains the side from loose head. He missed out last week on All Blacks rest, so he is back. But the rest of the forward pack is pretty much the same, with Broughton coming in for the, as I said, not yet right, Harmon. Same 19 combo with Fakatava and Miller. I thought Miller was pretty good at pulling the strings last week over in Tonga. The rest of the back line unchanged. They've also got Stoddard and Hurley in on the bench for this one. For the Crusaders, they've brought some big guns back, which is probably a pretty welcome return for some of the guys they've been missing for the vast majority of the season. Tamaiti Williams, the huge man, is back at loose head. Cody Taylor, All Black veteran, is back there at hooker. Scott Barrett, who only got like 15 minutes on the field last week, is back starting in the second row. And David Havili's going to get another crack at 10. It'll be interesting to see how he goes kind of back-to-back weeks with that one. Sever Reece, top try scorer equally, I think, with Hoskins Satutu this season. Still there on the left wing. To be top try scorer equal with a team which is in 10th shows you what kind of seasons he's having. A couple of changes in the rest of the back line, with McNichol switching to the fullback spot and Fihaki promoted to the starting lineup for this one. There's no sign of Welshman Lee Halfpenny in the side this week. Waratahs Brumbies is the penultimate game of the round. Waratahs, they've been on a tough run recently. They've had the Chiefs, they've had the Hurricanes, now they got the Brumbies. So it doesn't get a heck of a lot easier in terms of opponents. They got Jed Holloway back. He's at number 8 this week, so that'll be a bit of a bolstering return for them to have him back. Joey Walton's also in the midfield this week, and Charlie Gamble is going to get a start at number 7. One would think he's going to have to get through a fair few tackles against a pretty aggressive Brumby side. And they've also got Pone Fa'amusili. I was a little bit surprised to see his name in the Waratahs lineup, because he's a Rebels player, but he has joined the Waratahs on loan, I believe, for the remainder of the season. So he'll get some action from the bench. And then for the Brumbies, they've alternated quite a bit, actually. Jack Debrasini is going to get a start at number 10. He's not had a lot of that action with Lolosio Hogg in the majority of the minutes. Alan Alatoa scored a try last week. He captained the side from tight head. Rob Valetini switches to number 6 from number 8. So Charlie Cale takes over at number 8. Caden Neville, Ben O'Donnell also back into the lineup for this one. And then the final game, Force up against the Drua. The Drua need to get some points away, man. They haven't been able to win, but they're facing the bottom side in the Force. The Force are bolstered by Nick White's return. Top tackler Carlo Tizano is still there, and Bailey Kunzel switches to a more familiar midfield spot for this one for the Drua. Really minimal changes. They've kept the entire starting 15 the same, barring Draw Sessi returning at fullback and Ravu Tamanda switching back to the right wing. So very, very stable for the Drua. They are in 8th, so they absolutely need a win desperately to kind of retain that playoff spot ahead of the sides chasing. But yeah, round 12, culture round. You guys let us know your thoughts on how things are going to go, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.